It's February 93 and I've left college and moved back to my mum and dad's. Not quite what I wanted because I was hoping I was going to be walking into a job and I didn't. So, first thing I did when I got back was to sign up with various temping agencies. And within the first week, I'd signed up to three and got three interviews, two of which I was offered a job. So I chose the best paid one, and a week after, started work. The job was working in the electronics division of a gas analysing company in Abingdon. It was factory work again, back to what I'd been doing before my accident, which is fine. At least I was getting some money, obviously on weekly contract, but, better than nothing. Nothing too much to say about the place, really. I was hoping to find a full-time job in the company because it was a big company. So I did apply for internal jobs. There weren't that many and I wasn't successful. Now, if you remember from the previous videos, the idea this year was to get a full-time job and to find somewhere to live. So bearing that in mind, sort of February, March, April, looking for a full-time job and saving. Yes. I wanted to save enough for a deposit and a month's rent in advance. Bearing in mind that there's no way I was ever going to get a mortgage. No, not when you're on a weekly contract and you have zero savings. So, I was trying to find somewhere cheap to rent and to move out. So those sort of 3 months was just, routine, work, girlfriend, and that's about it, really. The relationship was going well. Tended to see each other at the weekends, not during the week, and quite often went out. So, Brighton, Bournemouth, car shows, out and about. Now, around this time, I did meet another person with the same injury. And it wasn't a college. It was I was introduced to him via the pain relief unit, and they were saying, he's not on any meds. We're trying to persuade him to go on some meds to make his life better. Do you think you can have a word? And I thought, yeah, okay, why not? So it was kind of quite interesting. He was younger than me and had his injury for a longer period than me. He was 16 when this happened. He was on a moped, came off, hit a lamppost, ended up in a ditch. Was there for 24 hours until he was found. So, yeah, he was in a pretty grim state. And it's kind of 16. At least I had a few years of fun with both hands, but God. But anyway, and so he just had, as he would say, 3 or 4 bad days a month, and then the rest of it was kind of okay. But those 3 or 4 bad days was bad, and had problems with it. We did meet up a couple of times, and I explained the meds I was on and how it was, the pain was there all the time, but it was manageable. But in the end, he decided he would rather carry on the way he was, which is fair enough. But it was interesting meeting somebody and comparing notes. Now, with regards to my arm and all that stuff, not a huge amount to say. The meds were doing their job and keeping the pain kind of under control for most of the time, and when it wasn't, you could dose yourself up and it'd be like that, But that was kind of working. The physio was helping, and the shoulder and upper arm, well, I just know it's all the dust. Disgusting, isn't it? Sorry. Yeah, so the physio was helping, and shoulder and upper arm were sort of together and had a bit of muscle in, and the lower arm was very skinny at that point. So it was all kind of working as well as it could. I didn't expect to get anything further back because that lot's gone. And I didn't really. That was it, really, after about, 3 years. What I was going to get back, I was going to get back. Come the start of May, I had enough money saved up and I was feeling secure enough in the work I was doing. Still contract work, still looking for a full-time job, but, the market was all sort of picking up and the economy was picking up. So I thought, I'm going to go for it. Time to move out. So what did I do? I went around and looked at various flats, bed sits, and actually ended up finding one in Abingdon. It was, it's not a one-bedroom flat, it's much pokier than that. Bed sit land. It'd been lived in by an old lady who'd gone off to an old people's home. So the landlord was letting it out cheap because there wasn't much there. And it needed decorating. So it's like, well, I'll give you 75 quid and you can paint it in nice neutral colours. And if you've got any change, keep it. So I did that. It was 260 quid rental a month plus bills. And I believe, from what I remember, the market price was around 300 quid a month. So I was 40 quid under, the market price. But I wasn't going to complain. Let's put it like that. And then in mid-May, I saw a job advert in the paper and I thought, ooh, that looks like it might be quite interesting. I think I'll apply for that. And it was to be audiovisual technician at Oxford Uni. Did I know an awful lot about AV? I'd done, built a sound to light system, built two actually, back in the 80s, and, done a bit of butt editing, VHS tapes together, and, mucked about with it, but nothing particularly serious. But it wasn't just for that. It was, a bit of admin work, there was a bit of electronics work, repairing equipment, and, a bit of tech support. So I thought, I'll go for that. Why not? Nothing to lose. And went for the interview and thought, I did all right there. Now, interestingly here, positive discrimination? Maybe. Because when I happened to mention, yes, I'm registered disabled, the eyebrows went up and it was like, good. So possibly that helped for once being disabled. So I was given a guided tour of the place and it all looked quite exciting, really. There was a video unit there as well, and tape duplication and computers, and it was all very techy, very impressive, and I thought, I quite fancy this. So went home, and a couple of days later, congratulations, you've got the job. Really? Now, bearing in mind this was in Oxford and I was working in Abingdon, and I just signed up a rental agreement in Abingdon. Never mind. As it turns out, it wasn't the end of the world, and who can afford Oxford prices? Not many people out there. But here we are, start of June, 30 years old, moved into my own flat rental, and I've been offered a permanent position. So, who would have thought it? 2 years ago, there I was, sitting at my mum and dad's in an immense amount of pain, unemployed, no prospects. Now, a couple of observations about the flat. As you can see in the pictures, it's very small, and there was no clothes washer. So guess who was going to see his mum and dad every Sunday night with a bag full of laundry? Yes, some things never change. Now, the other interesting thing is, in this picture is not the baby dinosaur, but actually, if you have a little look in the corner there, you can see the meds I'm on. And one thing I forgot to mention from quite early on was they did give me sleeping tablets, and I was allowed, you know, to take them when the pain was too bad. So back in those days, it's probably, to be quite honest, a couple of times a month, maybe 3 or 4. Over the years, it's got much better, obviously. I'm not going to say too much about the work in this video. I think I'll do it in the next one, sort of year 4, what it was like in the early years and what it led on to. Simply because there are other things to talk about. My girlfriend, she used to come visit me, which was great, and I used to go and see her. And, you know, sort of July, August time, you're thinking, blimey, life's pretty impressive. You know, here we are. Full-time job, moved out, girlfriend. What could possibly go wrong? Well, plenty. Some things never change. But that's life, isn't it? It happens to all of us. So, now, what I didn't really twig was my girlfriend's life and my life. So, for quite a long period of time, we were both like sort of on parallel lines. And then my life was obviously someone would have suddenly gone whoosh off in this direction. And her life was about to change as well in her personal circumstances. So, you know, we were both sort of going to kind of go whoosh off together. And then that all fell through. And what she'd hoped was going to happen didn't. And so she was going to have the same life she had been having. And so it was kind of like her life was going to go like that, but actually ended up just carrying on with that. And me went like that. And didn't really realise at the time, but the cracks had started, unfortunately. Another minor mishap. Well, quite a big mishap. The poor old Granada. Driving back from Nick's one night on Friday night. Dear, that temperature gauge seems to be going through the roof. So pulled over, there was nothing in the radiator. Being an old car, luckily I carried about 5 gallons of water in the boot. And poured that in and got it home. And thought, I better take it to Nick's. Drove around there, got there, temperature gauge, woof, again. And I could see in daylight all the water had come out of the water pump. And it's like, oh dear. So fitted a new water pump, and then all the water came out the exhaust pipe. That's not good. So basically, head gasket, cracked block, cracked head. Not worth fixing. Costs far too much money. So another car down the knacker's yard. For those of you who have been paying attention since the very early days and watching all the videos, as you should have been, if you remember in the first month, it was decided to have a go at getting some compensation. So, you know, there was ongoing legal wranglings and court case and all that sort of thing going on in the background. So when the car blew up, I thought, wonder if I can get an interim payment to buy something, you know, at least fairly nice and reliable. Because I'm getting a bit tired of cars blowing up. And we did apply for one, and nope, didn't get it. So I had to use all my savings again on the car, and bought myself a rather cool Opel Monza. Now you would be looking at that and thinking, wow, that's not a bad looking car. And you would be right, it was a nice car. 3-litre, straight 6, fuel injection, electric windows, central locking, sunroof, blah blah blah, comfy, bit of a GT, big cruising type thing, coupe, but oh dear, bit of a mismatch in the engine gearbox department. Why is that? Well, 3-litre straight 6. Now, the Granada was a V6 and had lots of nice mid-range punch, but not much top end. So it suited the auto box down to a T. The Monza, basically, 4,000 to 5,500, lots of grunt, uh, and that was it. Below 4,000, absolutely zero. So you floor it away from a set of lights, and being on an auto box, it gets to 3.5. Chug, 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 chug. And then all of a sudden, hit goes on cam. Woof, off it goes. Then hits 5,500. Bear in mind the red line's at 6. And changes gear and boom, drops back down to 3,500. And it's off cam again. So it was not a good car if you were trying to have a little bit of a drag race, shall we say. And you think, well, you could always, manually shift it. So hold it onto 6 and then shift it and it'll drop down to 4 and you're on cam. Yes, that works until you overshift it into neutral. So tried it a few times, nearly blew the car up. But apart from that, and the whole cooling system rotted. So had to have the radiator recalled, replace the thermostat, replace the water pump, and replace the heater matrix. So that was junk. It wasn't a bad car. German made, felt very solid. Cruising at the motorway, 70 miles an hour, lovely. But, stoplight to stoplight, no, just no, rubbish. In the middle of September, my girlfriend and I decided to go away to North Wales for a holiday. And, I'd have been in work for a few months by this point, and they were quite happy for me to take a bit of time off. Paid holiday. Oh, blimey, that was rather nice, wasn't it? I haven't had that for a long time. So off we went. 2 days into the holiday. Oh, dear. No, the car didn't blow up. The relationship blew up instead. Unfortunately. And if you've ever been on holiday and broken up with someone, it's pretty horrible. I don't recommend it at all. It's like, well, do you go home, or you've paid for the holiday, shall you tough it out? Well, we toughed it. We toughed it out for about another 3 nights, and then, no, we had to leave. I laugh about it now, but it was a very sad time for me. Although we both cared about each other, it was kind of inevitable, really. Such is life sometimes, unfortunately. But yes, don't break up on holiday. Terrible. So, ending this video, let's say it's the 5th of November 1993. 3 years ago was when it all changed. I was in hospital, paralysed arm, and my whole world was about to fall apart, even though I didn't realise it. 3 years later, I have successfully found myself a good full-time job with a good employer. I have managed to move out of home, albeit renting a bedsit, but, still pretty impressive, even with an ex-rental TV and very basic amenities, but, it's my place, which is nice. Was single, which was a shame, but then again, 3 years ago, I was single, so there you go. Some things never change. But that previous life of, motorbikes and all that sort of stuff, did it figure in today's life? Well, no, not really. Yeah, there was a few memories there, and if you look, you could probably just about see pictures of motorbikes on the wall of the flat, and still wore one of my old leathers, but, the motorbike stuff had all kind of gone, and I was sort of looking forward to a new life. I was working with a lot of interesting people, doing a lot of interesting work, which, like I say, I'll cover in the next video. Life is what you make of it, and this is kind of the point of the videos, is keep plugging away, keep striving for something better, and a lot of hard work, you should get there, and you'll see just how exciting life could get in the next video.